And we've got a couple of minutes yet. Well, a minute. No, by golly, it is 4:30 right now. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we do, if we count Jim Zons. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Judiciary and Law Committee of Dunn County Board of Supervisors. It is Monday, March 28th at 4:30. Let the record reflect that Supervisors Zons, Bauer, Tripp are here from the committee, as well as Chairman Bartlett. Absent are Vandermillen and Rogers. And Mike Rogers actually is out of town, isn't he? Yes, he is. He told me that on Saturday. So I knew in advance that Supervisor Rogers would be here. And Supervisor Vandermillen, did he say anything about logging in or?
No, I'm not aware.
Haven't heard from him either. All right. So the roll has been called. The minutes are in front of you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from February 28th? Bauer moves, Zahn seconds.
I do second.
You are there, right?
I seconded.
Okay. Yeah, I just needed you to speak to me so I knew that you were in touch. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or changes or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Here comes Supervisor Vandermillen. Good. The motion carries. Public comments. I don't see any members of the public here. You folks are all family. So we'll get right on to the staff reports, starting with the sheriff's report. I see Marshall is here. Marshall, do you have anything you'd like to add to the report?
Unless somebody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the sheriff's department on their report? I did have one question. Actually, it's more to do with CJCC, but and see if I can find it here. Has the recidivism rate in the jail changed? I see it's at 51% now. Has that changed over the past 4 or 5 years? I mean, are we, it's hard to judge, I know, but.
To tell you the truth, I don't.
Sorry, otherwise they can really hear.
You could just sit at that one.
I can't speak to the recidivism rates because I don't follow those numbers that closely. I know CJCC does and she provides them to us, but we don't maintain those numbers. If we did, I personally don't look at them close enough to know. I do know I see the same names over and over and over. Take it for that, what it is. But as far as it comes down to the individual numbers at the 51%, I couldn't tell you.
All right, thank you. That was the only question I had. Does anybody else have questions about the sheriff's report? All right. Seeing none, then, crap, I keep closing out my files here. Who's next on our list?
The courts are.
The courts, Katie, that would be you then.
Yeah, yep. I don't really have anything else to report. I know I was absent from a committee and administration meeting last week, and I think there was a question about the witness fees that came up during the meeting. I think Nick Lang was maybe going to send an email out, but I just thought there's some questions about the payments. So you get $16 per day and 20 cents per mile. So those amounts may look low, but that's the statutory reimbursement rate that I was just going to let everybody know in case they were wondering what it was.
Chairman Bartlett, do you remember specifically that question was about a specific?
It was, and it seems like it was a real.
You want to turn your mic on, sorry, Dave.
Like $23 or something.
Yep. Yeah. So they get $16 per day and then 20 cents per mile. So it varies depending where you live at and how far you're reporting from your home to the
Okay.
judicial center.
Anybody, anything else, Katie?
Nope, that's all.
Any questions for Katie regarding the court's report? Supervisor Vandermillen, go ahead.
Truancy court, that refers to students missing school or something beyond that.
Yes. Yep.
Has that, I've heard nationally, a lot of students just disappeared, basically. during COVID? Did that happen?
I would say our numbers have
to-
increased in Dunn County over the past 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
We've always had a truancy court. It's just now going to be held before Judge Meyer instead of all 3 of the branches.
Okay.
So they aren't being homeschooled or anything, they're just missing?
Yeah, and some of them start up there. I don't remember what the school programming is. I know they can take some online schooling and it's like 2 to 3 hours per day. But even if they're missing from there, courts or the schools will do a referral to human services. They'll then work with the families. And if they're not reporting into school, then they have the ability to file a truancy citation. And then that's where they would appear before us for truancy court. In this specific example,
How often does truancy court meet?
it's going to be every other week.
Okay,
And it currently is every other week from 3 to 4:30, but we're going to do every other week. 1 week going to be from 1:30 to 4:30. And then when Judge Meyer's on intake, that Monday will be from 3 to 4:30.
and what exactly transpires? Now, I'm under the assumption that it is a parent's responsibility. So if the kid doesn't get to school, the parents are the ones.
Well, the citation's issued in the student's name essentially, but Human Services does try to work with the parents to get them to report in for schooling. It could be lack of transportation. Maybe the student just doesn't want to go to school. Maybe there's something else going on in their home life. But there's a lot of work and collaboration between DHS, the schools, and the courts. I don't know, Judge Meyer, do you want to talk on this specifically?
Come right up, we'll get you
Yeah.
a microphone. There you go.
Dunn County has an ordinance specifically regarding truancy. It is unique to Dunn County. And so the first step is dealing with that ordinance violation. If we are unsuccessful, and mostly it is encouraging children to go to school. They want you there and the school works with them and, we can put an ankle bracelet on them. I can ground them, those kind of things, give them a curfew. If none of that works, and very often it does work because they come in front of the court and the court says, you got to go to school and don't you want us off your back? And depending on how old they are, they may or may not graduate or turn 18. But if it doesn't work, then they're referred to juvenile court. And so that is a higher, they have to meet with the social worker more often. It is much more invasive for their family, for themselves. The school, certainly, Menominee school system does a lot they have an in-house alternate school. And so they do a lot with trying to say, okay, here's packets you can do. If coming to school, maybe you're picked on at school or whatever that is, here's the hours you have to come, that kind of stuff. So if somebody is maybe credit shy, they, they bend over backwards for those kids to try to get them to graduate.
Thank you.
So we're happy with the program that,
Good.
The county board set up a ordinance violation and it is helpful.
Dave. You're on.
Okay, Katie, you mentioned that it's every other week
Yes, yep,
and about a half a day.
yes.
Do we have that many kids in Dunn County that fall under that?
There's about 30 active truancy participants
Really?
right now.
I would bet that there would be that many.
Mhm.
Sure.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, wow.
That's not just Menominee though, that.
No, I realize
The
that.
whole
it's
county.
Elk Mound, Colfax and Boyceville.
Mhm.
And I suppose, okay, and then like if somebody lives in Dunn County and goes to Glenwood, do they fall under that too?
I don't know that answer
All right,
because I'd have to look at the specific, I don't know.
because we have,
Mhm.
in my area, I represent Clear Lake, Prairie Farm, Barron, Glenwood City, and Boyceville school districts.
I don't recall seeing one. I mean, I don't know that the issue certainly has never come before me.
Okay,
And I
I'm
don't
just
Recall
curious.
seeing one from another county. I think they probably go to the county where their school district is
Okay,
located.
Yeah, that's how
Alright.
I've seen it before, but.
I didn't
doesn't
even
mean it
know we
hasn't.
had an ordinance. I assumed that it was state law because I know there is state statute requiring parents to send kids to school or to make sure they get there of some kind. But I didn't know we had a county ordinance.
So our ordinance is very similar. I think there is no
Yeah.
difference between our ordinance and the state statute.
But
It's-
it might define who it applies to,
They're,
or
they're,
doesn't it?
they're the same.
Oh, okay.
I'm essentially the same. I mean, I doubt that any judge would send a child to, you know, to a foster home just because they're not going to
Oh,
school.
no, no, no. I was thinking about the jurisdiction in terms of, like Dave mentioned, if a kid in Boyceville, the school is in St. Croix County, or excuse me, Glenwood City, school's in St. Croix County, but the kid may very well live in Dunn County. And that jurisdiction, I just wondered about that.
And so for our ordinance, I don't know the answer. However, for our, for if they're gonna bring a juvenile case, which is the next step up, right? So you got a 13-year-old that's not going to school and there's nothing you can do to get him to go to school. They've been in truancy court, they can't go to school. The next step up is a juvenile action, and that's in the county where they live.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a comment on the whole truancy thing.
Hey,
and
he's
why-
right.
And why there may be as many as there are. The statute, and I don't know if it's just Dunn County or the state as written, is very unforgiving. So if a student misses a certain number of days during a semester or is late, whether those absences are excused or not, they are referred to the truancy court. So, and I bring this up from personal experience. My daughter is a straight A+ student. She is graduating this year. She'll be the salutatorian at Colfax High School. She got a 33 out of 36 on her ACTs, but she's probably been referred to the for truancy because she missed a portion of school due to having COVID and was missed because of that, or has had other things that has made her late. So I, as a parent, have gotten letters from the school saying that your child is truant. So she, like I said, straight A student, has every college on earth wanting her to go there. Some of these people, some of these parents or kids that are getting referred to truancy court probably should not be caught up in this system. And that would be something that, you know, if I'm continuing on this committee going forward, I'd like to at least look at the Dunn County ordinance for this, because whereas I can see that you want to make sure kids are in school, when you have a straight A student getting flagged for truancy because of being sick or something else happening up, especially when it's an excused absence and the parent has called the school, that's not an efficient use of court time or the truancy court time or a judge's time. So just a little bit of background as you guys are wondering about this with a parent, as a parent with a student in the school system who has gotten the letters from the school saying your child is going to be referred to the truancy court. That's something that is an unnecessary waste of court time. I will get off my soapbox now.
So the ordinance follows the statute. It's the same. The goal of the ordinance is that we're not bringing juvenile actions against a child. If it can be handled in truancy court informally, it's, I assume, and I wasn't on the county board when it was passed, but I assume that it's for the benefit of the child and the family so that it's a less invasive, more down to earth friendly type of system that has no, assumably no long-term consequences to the child that would participate in truancy court.
I totally see that, but obviously dragging a straight A student kid into truancy court is just dumb.
And my question to you would be, have you met with the school? Have you met with the social worker?
Hey,
Have you met
There's
with
no
all the
social, there's like, you know, it's like,
And,
there's no
and
point in the
my
social
response
worker.
to that is we're getting a little far afield.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I
let's,
wanted just to bring that up because,
thank you.
there's questions about the truancy and what these parents are like, and there have to be other straight A student kids who have missed school for whatever reason, who have been flagged.
Thank you.
So-
Appreciate
so-
the perspective.
Generally, we don't have straight A students in
No.
truancy court. In truancy court, I don't know if I've ever met, I mean, and I've been doing this only since August, I'll have more now. But I haven't seen one straight A student.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for the courts? Seeing none, our next report is CJCC. Sarah has joined us. Sarah, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you. So I would like to add that we have received the grant for treatment in jail for $150,000. I was able to report that to admin committee. So I know a few of you are on the admin committee and heard it there, but it's new as of last week. So I just wanted to share the good news. And the plan is to do some contracting to bring in medically assisted treatment into jail and cognitive-based treatment into jail. And then I can also speak to your question regarding recidivism rates in the jail. So as Chief Deputy Moltoff indicated, we do, the CJCC, we do a monthly dashboard and report recidivism rates. That information does come directly from the jail. So is the jail sergeant, now the jail captain, that provides those numbers. And it has been trending down, but the jail really measures recidivism as, have you ever been here in our computer system? That's how it's measured, because it's too manually intensive to look up everybody. So that's just their measuring system. So we are measuring it consistently month to month. So when you do see our dashboards, it does show you the trend of recidivism rates, and they do hover around the lower 50s. And that's been pretty typical. So it has been trending down a little bit, which means we're having folks in our jail that haven't been there before. So that's interesting point. The number of people that are being arrested and booked into jail has gone down. So it looks like those that are coming in do tend to be newer to our system. But those rates are very, they just vary a little bit from month to month. So I guess I wouldn't gain too much out of the declining recidivism rate out of the jail.
I wouldn't expect to see a lot of I don't think you can read a trend on a month to month, but over the past several years, I think if our CJCC programs are working the way we hope they do, we would see a gradual downward trend overall. Any other questions for Sarah on CJCC?
I have one.
Supervisor Vandermillen, go ahead.
I was curious, what kind of medically assisted treatment and for what kinds of conditions?
Oh, great question. So there are some medications that are approved for opioid dependency. So people that, whether they're on prescriptions or illicit drugs, if they're taking opioids, there's a higher risk for overdose if they go back to the level that they may have been accustomed to, prior to having an absence of drugs. So there's a couple of FDA approved medications for opioids. There's some for alcohol as well. And there's nothing for methamphetamines, and that's the primary problematic drug that we see in our criminal justice system. There's a couple of promising options. So we're going to look to see if we can get that provided in the jail, but typically it would be for alcohol abuse or opioid abuse.
And not for mental illness, for instance?
For mental illness, there are, depending on the illness, there are different medications out there available, but this is really particular to substance abuse in the jail. But, folks can receive, mental health medicines from the jail contracted provider now, and they can get it out in the community. And the jail reentry coordinator helps connect with care there as well, if somebody has medications that they need.
Thank you. Carl, does that take care of your question? Thank you for that. Anyone else? Questions regarding CJCC for Sarah? If not, we will move along to, I believe the DA is next. Andrea, behind me, do you have anything you'd like to add to your report? Oh, here she comes. Very good.
Yeah,
You've done this before.
yeah, just briefly. Yeah, it's a big loss that Amber Hahn is leaving our office. I can't fill her position until April 2nd. So I'm hoping I'll have an update at the next meeting, but I know there's a lot of vacancies all across the state. So I'm hopeful that I can find someone, but we'll see. I think it might be a difficult task. She had a lot of experience too. So, but I think just having a younger family and having trials is really hard on her family. So I think this will be a good move for her moving forward. And we're sad to see her go. And then it's Crime Victims Rights Week. And I just wanted to elaborate on that. I took some notes because I'm bad with dates. But our office will be participating in the wellness fair at the Menominee High School from 5 to 8 on, I think it's coming up soon. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but we're gonna have a table and do some games and just try to hand out some pamphlets and educate the public about victim rights services. The state is putting on a little ceremony or show at the Capitol on April 26th. We're also coordinating with the sheriff's office and police department to put something on their Facebook pages regarding victim rights. And then we've also spoken with Officer Berg from the Menominee Police Department to see if he could provide some self-defense training for some of our newer staff, especially our victim witness, given that they're in a separate kind of area away from the rest of us. So just wanted to update you on that.
Thank you. Any questions for the DA? I have one, and it goes for you and a couple others too. I noticed in 2 or 3 reports that there were positions that were appealed in the classification. Were you satisfied that the process worked successfully?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to describe all of the different roles, especially for the victim witness coordinator. Just because they have so many other like grant duties and in court duties. And, but I think it was the opportunity to sit down and actually explain that was helpful. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's hard for an outsider to understand the intricacies of any position when they're not familiar with it, but
right, that's the appeals process, which is
right. Yeah.
So if that's, there's no perfect system, so.
Right. It was good to have the opportunity to be heard. Yeah.
And the outcome was satisfactory?
I don't think I haven't heard yet.
Oh.
So.
Well, I thought those had been decided. No. Okay.
Yeah, it was just hard because the office manager had been in the role for like 3 days, so she didn't really know what to say. And then my victim witness coordinator was out of the country on a vacation, so it was just me pretty much. But I don't know if I rambled too much or not. Let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the district attorney? Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Who's next? I believe Josie, right? Child support? I believe it is. Have anything to add to your report?
I do not believe I have anything to add to my report, which I had up a moment ago and I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I know how that works too. I would ask you the same question because I think, was it you that had a couple of appeals as well?
Not from my office. I believe
Okay.
that was Katie.
Okay, and that was all right, the
Yeah,
process?
Yeah, I think, yeah, hopefully it works out the way we want it to.
Okay. I'm sorry, Josie, I kind of stepped on your report there. Good. Go ahead if you've got anything to add.
No problem. I do not have anything to add unless anyone has any questions.
Questions? Do not see any. Jim Zons, you got to speak up because I sometimes forget to look up at your smiling face.
I have
Uh,
nothing to add.
Okay. Thank you. Melissa, emergency management 911.
But the only thing that I have to add that was not in my report is Steve Finley, who has been working as our coordinator in the emergency management office, did tender his resignation. And he will be done the end of April. So he did give us 30 days notice, which was great. However, we're sad to lose him. So we'll be recruiting for that position.
Do you have somebody in-house who might fill it? No, maybe I shouldn't ask you.
Yeah.
I better not ask you. Well, no, I mean, this is a process.
It's a part-time position. And currently we have a part-time program assistant, so I'm not really sure the advantage of,
Right.
her possibly
No,
being
I,
interested.
no, that question was not appropriate at this time. Any other questions for Melissa regarding 911 emergency management? I suppose you're getting ready for tornado drills.
We are.
I have a question. The
Supervisor
National
Van
Weather
Horn.
Service Skywarn class, is that like for weather spotters?
It is. It's a class that we generally host every other year. And last year was kind of the year that we did, that we've been on schedule to host, and we had it virtually last year. And some people felt that if there was a possibility for us to host it again this year and have it in person, it's much more advantageous to learn from and to have an in-person training. So yeah, basically it's open to the public, and it's to, train Skywarn spotters, and depending on what level you're interested in committing, you can sign up with the National Weather Service, and then you can report directly to them, or just really, it has a lot of good basic weather information, and it's a good class. It probably lasts a couple hours. And like I said, we do host it every couple years.
Do we have a group of people who go out whenever there's a severe weather warning to see what they see?
We do. We
Okay.
do. We have a pretty active Aries Races group that, works well with our office, and then also the National Weather Service. So they're out there, and a lot of them report directly to the National Weather Service. Yep.
Dave, go ahead.
I'd like to get back to Steve Finley's position.
Mhm.
You mentioned that's part-time, and secretary's also part-time.
Mhm.
Could those be rolled into one and have one full-time person? I'm just throwing that out
Yep,
there. It might
absolutely.
be easier to fill it.
Right, absolutely. That is definitely an option. It's something that I have actually been thinking about and kind of crunching the numbers, and actually did have
Okay.
a meeting today to discuss that and how that would look and the process to go
Yeah.
through that. So it's definitely on the radar. Currently now, the way the budget process is been approved in the past, the coordinator was approximately 20 hours a week, and the program assistant was 30 hours a week. And, so we end up with about 50 hours, if we go down to a full-time 40-hour or salaried, I'm not sure, we may possibly lose 10 hours. So it's something that I have to look at, but definitely for the continuity of the workflow and things like that, I think that a full-time employee would definitely have its benefits. And also for recruiting. The last time when I did recruit for Steve, when he joined us, was 4 years ago. And I think I recruited 3 times before I found someone.
Yeah, and that's why I
Mhm.
bring that up, because I remember it was hard to fill that position.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it just seems to me if it was full-time, it might be easier to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an avenue that we're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Thank you, Melissa. You're welcome. Next on the agenda, the medical examiner, the report is in your packet. Is Marcy with us somewhere?
She is not.
She behind me? She's sneaking
No,
around.
I did not hear from her either.
I can't imagine why not. I mean, the woman only works 80 or 90 hours a week. What's she dawdling around someplace? You see her report though, and she indicates that she too is going to be looking for replacement for one of her deputies. So those are, I don't know, how tough are those deputy positions to fill? Seems like there've been a little bit of difficulty. But anyway, we'll hope for the best on that. Anybody have any questions they'd like to record? We can have Marcy get back to us. All right. Seeing none, thanks, folks. I appreciate all the effort that goes into not only preparing the report, but doing the work that you got to report on. It takes us to item number 6. It's probably time to talk a little bit about future meetings. And one option is the option that we're exercising right now, and that's to have the meetings here because all of the technology is here. That way, Jim Zons can participate remotely. Staff, if or you're out of town or something, this seems to me to be a kind of a nice hybrid option. It does mean though, for those of you who attend in person coming to this building. So I'd be interested in hearing your comments. I suppose we also have to consider the possibility that COVID will rear its ugly head and we might go back to all Zoom meetings. But otherwise, this arrangement that we have right here seems to be kind of a nice compromise. Chairman Bartlett, I know, and we've talked about this in where exec, I think about the efficacy of, using technology staff, IT staff and things like that. But the benefits here are that you get an opportunity to participate in the meeting, even if you can't be here, and the meeting's recorded. And frankly, I think that's the greatest thing since perforated toilet paper. That, you got, I can't tell you how many meetings that I've either gone back and looked at again, meetings that I've been in to see what exactly was said, or meetings that I just couldn't attend that I got to see. So I like it. Now, next month, we may have significantly different personnel on the county board, but frankly, a lot of the meeting arrangements revolve around the availability of staff because we have so many of them. So if this works for you, fine. I think a recommendation would be to continue doing it this way. And then as things go on down the road, you can always talk about changes. Nothing's cast in concrete. Joel, comments?
What about the time? Is the time working out for you guys? I mean, you guys are here anyway. Are you guys done at 4? Or I mean, has that
Normally we're done at 4:30.
okay?
Mhm.
So we could move the time up, maybe a half hour or something too.
That's right. We used to meet a little earlier and then we actually moved it back a little bit to
That sounds
accommodate
more
Bob's
for me.
schedule.
If I do get retired here, I could probably
Right.
get in a little earlier,
And that's another topic that you might want to talk about. And again, there may be, depending on what happens with the election and what this committee looks like next time.
That's gonna be a big influence on times of committee. If a number of new supervisors are working, just like you have been. And I know how I was when I was on and still working. I had to ask the chair to put me on committees that were towards the end of the day or in the evening. And, just going over how many new ones we're going to have. We're probably going to have at least 6 new people and we could have more. So it's definitely going to decide on how many that's going to have to be a discussion at next month's county board meeting, whoever the chair ends up being, if it's me and I set up the committees or somebody else. But the committees are going to have to get together and decide when can we meet. And they'll have to you'll have to realize that's whether, if staff has to, join the meeting or not. There's some, like this committee, there's a lot of staff that join. PR&D there is, facilities, there's usually only one person. So it just depends on which committee it is and who's on them. But definitely doing this type of format without the streaming is opening it up so we don't have to have IT personnel at every meeting.
Anybody else? Again, like Dave said, once the structure of the committee is established next month, then you'll find out if, there are some time constraints, things you have to stay away from. I think, and the staff would have to let me know, but I think this 4:30 timeframe works pretty well most of the time. Yeah, okay. And in terms of days of the week and stuff like that, that may change too, but I don't know. We've met on Monday for a long time. Anything else in this regard? Okay. Item number 7, we don't have anything for item number 7. Item number 8, consideration of recommendations to the county board. We do have a budget adjustment from child support. That's in your packet as well. Let me get to that. That is $986.68. Non-capital equipment from a state grant, office chairs, or I heard that it was a massage chair for the director. That's what I heard.
I have a standing desk. I don't sit down all day.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to recommend this to the county board, and then we can hear from Josie and any discussion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Supervisor Vandermellen moves.
Zahn seconds.
Supervisor Zahn, we'll let him second because he's home all by himself. Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend this
Can I
to
make
the
one
county
comment?
board. Yeah, Bob, what do you have?
The date on there, should that be the 20th day of March, not 20th day of April? The date of this at the meeting? This is the 28th of March today, right?
Where are we?
Are they talking about, is this when it goes before the county board in
Yeah, the
April?
exec offered by the executive, right underneath the, be it further resolved, right? The 28th day of April. it says.
Dated 28th day of April
Then it should
28.
be the 19th,
Yeah, the
because
date would
that's
be-
what county
Yeah,
board
that's
is.
county board because we're actually, this is a county board action. We're just recommending it to the county board. So yeah, it should be the date of the county board meeting, which is the 19th.
Well,
Good.
and then I did not draft this. Sarah Stabenow helped me with it.
That's
So I don't
right.
know if she was using a template, but then I'm wondering where it says offered by the executive committee. Is that who's offering
Yeah,
this or is it the judiciary
yeah.
and law?
The executive committee is the finance committee, so they're going to recommend this, or excuse me, the budget committee. Any budget adjustment has to come through them. So we're recommending it to the executive, to the county board, but and frankly, we would not have to take any action on this at all if I understand the process correctly. But it makes sense that they know that we have talked about it and recommended it. Yep. So.
The date will be massaged for whichever date it should be, but it's probably gonna end up being the 19th.
And Nick is pretty good about being careful. He looks at this language. My mission for the past 12 years has been to find errors in Nick's work, and I haven't found many. He's pretty good. He's pretty thorough. So, the process itself though, Josie, anything to say? Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so how my funding works is how my agency gets incentive funding. We're always 2 years in the rearview mirror. So how we ended the federal fiscal year of 18-19 gives me my operating budget for 2021. Okay, so I thought everything had come in. So I had already reported last month that, when everything worked itself out, that our actual levy impact was only $26,233 for the year. And then all of a sudden on March 2nd, I get this little deposit here, $986 and change. So instead of depositing that back into 2021. I'm asking for a budget adjustment in 2022 so I can purchase some office chairs because they're expensive. And frankly, I was embarrassed when I had my most recent hire start on March 1st. I was like, which one of these rickety chairs do you want to sit in? Because take your pick. And it was embarrassing. So I think it's time to get a few new ones.
That should be in the background information, I think.
One of them's a death trap and it needs to go out to the curb.
We're eliminating a death trap.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, maybe it's a workman's comp issue, but it's a dangerous piece of equipment, I think.
In any case, we're 100% behind it. I think we haven't voted yet, but questions, more discussion, anything else? I think we're pretty comfortable. All those in favor of the motion to recommend this to the county board for passage, say aye.
I,
Thank you. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. Are there any announcements? Well, I do have one announcement. It's for those of you who live in the city of Menominee. There will be a candidate forum for mayor, the two mayoral candidates, Wednesday night, high school, 7:30. It's should be kind of interesting. So if you get a chance, that might be kind of fun to go to. Other announcements? All right.
Are you announcing that this is your last meeting?
I don't know. I didn't announce that. I mean, it is, but.
Well, I think I will announce it then because I want to say I very much appreciate serving with you. One of the reasons I signed up for the thing again this year is to serve with people like you. And now I hear you're done. So.
Yeah, but the guy who gets my seat's likely to be better.
No, not like that.
I bet he will be.
Anyway, I want to say I very much appreciate your leadership, your good humor. I think we've all, it makes serving on a committee like this more enjoyable. And the way you're prepared for it, you set a fine example, and I appreciate that.
Thank you for the kind words, Carl. I appreciate it. I have enjoyed it. And I would like to say thanks to the staff. I made my statement at the last county board meeting, and every single word was true. The fact is that it's the people who work for the county that make county government successful. Board members and we're just along for the ride. If you guys weren't doing as well as you're doing, nobody'd want to be here. So that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where Dunn County is shown to be very successful. I could not have been prouder of any service than I am of having been served on the county board. So thanks to all of you folks. And next meeting is April 25th, 4:30. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks. All right.